You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
All right, good morning, LA. It is Thursday morning, a little past the hour, and we are here again on LA Talk Radio. I'm your host, Katerina Cozias, here at LA40, and we have another great episode scheduled for you. So happy to have you with us. If you're here and you're local to Los Angeles, you'll know we're right in the middle of this like June gloom. For those of you that aren't local, what happens in LA, it's the most bizarre thing. June actually is one of the coldest months of the year. I know that sounds illogical, but it really is. You know, we'll get 75 or 80 degrees in February and March, and all of a sudden in June, it'll dip down to like 65 and cloudy. So the marine layer comes in apparently, and it sort of sits, and everything is cloudy and a little gloomy and a little cool. I've been in back and forth in LA for about 3 years now, and it seems to me that the hottest months are September and October. Gets up to about 90, 95 sometimes. So summertime is still coming. Speaking of summertime, and one of the places that is lovely to visit, if you haven't visited there before, is Napa Valley. And one of the reasons I'm mentioning Napa today is because there is an amazing event coming up in Napa in July. We're going to get you those details in just a minute. And it's taking place at the Reid Family Vineyard. The event is called Crush MS, Crush Multiple Sclerosis. Big cause. And today we have the founder of the event, Crush MS, on the line with us, Kevin Reid of the Reid Family Vineyards. He's going to talk to us about not only what this event is about. Actually, we'll let him tell you, but I'm going to tell you first. The mission is the eradication of multiple sclerosis around the world. And he is doing an amazing job in trying to raise awareness and funding to put this disease to bed for everyone out there. He is going to talk to us a little bit more about what that means. For those of you who may not know, we do have a few stats. 400,000 people in the U.S. have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, almost 2.5 million people globally. We're going to get on the line with Kevin Reid right now. He's going to tell us a little bit more about what MS is about and why Crush MS and Napa Valley is where you want to be in July. So, Kevin, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Katerina. This is fantastic. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to have you. So what I'd like to do, because I want to make sure we catch our viewers early, we're going to announce this again at the end of the hour. Crush MS, big one-day event in Napa Valley on Saturday, July 28th. Tell us about the event.
It's a lot of fun. So I could give you a little story about the history of it real quick, is that I was diagnosed with MS in 2002. Over time, things, got a little worse, and I was learning more and more about what MS is, and so I went and tried to figure out what can we do to help this thing that I have, and like you mentioned, 400,000 people. It might even be closer to 1 million. There's some details that are coming out that we might have more people with MS than we actually realize. But so I was diagnosed, wanted to figure out how I could help. Our family winery, we have a family winery, and I met another woman with MS who has a winery as well. And her name is Julie Hare. She's actually the co-founder with me. So we're co-founders of Crush MS, and we got together and said, we want to raise a bunch of money for research that goes directly to figuring out the cause and the cure of MS. So we decided to do a big fundraising party at our winery, brought a bunch of wineries together, and now we're doing our 5th annual wine tasting celebration this summer, this July. So it's a big event, and it's a lot of fun, and we raise a lot of money, and the money goes directly to finding a cure for the research for this, and we donate to programs that help people live well with MS. So it's, we're helping as much as we can with the resources that we have, and we've got wine, and we're having a party, and we want you all to come. That's the main thing. Is it's so fun. We can't do it without other people, though, and lots of people come and seem to have a great time. So it's an easy invite to say, come on to Napa, have a fun party, And it's all for a really great cause that we really, really do believe in.
Absolutely. Before we get into a little bit more details, because I know you're partnering up with some big names for this year's event, I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about MS. So just taking it back to your personal story for a moment, 2002, how old were you in 2002? How old were you when you got diagnosed?
I was 27, and MS is usually diagnosed in the mid-20s, mid-30s, in the prime of life is when it shows up. It's more common in women, four women to each man that has it, but it's still out there for men and women. And it's a brutal disease that is caused by our own body. It's an autoimmune disease, and no one knows what causes it, but what happens is the body attacks its own nervous system, and it destroys the coating of the nerve. The nerve is a long, skinny conduit for electric signals. It's covered with a little, it's called myelin. It's like a plastic sheath. Well, MS destroys that plastic or that covering, and so the nerve fails. And where do we have nerves? Everywhere. So the symptoms that show up can be varied and vastly different from one another, but there are some really common symptoms that happen, like mobility issues, fatigue is huge, fine motor skills go away. So buttoning a shirt, can't do it. There's all kinds of things that can happen, but our goal is to figure out what's the cause and find a cure for this thing, because all of the symptoms are really difficult, including losing the ability to walk. I'm in a wheelchair now, and it's happened over time, and I know a lot of people have that issue, and so again, we're just coming back to how can we fix this, and figured having a party is a good way to do it.
It's a great way to do it, and I want to go back to something you said just a few minutes ago, which is there could be up to 1 million people that actually have it. I have have heard some stories of people who had either been misdiagnosed or had failed to be diagnosed for upwards of 10 years because it is such a varied disease and critical illness with respect to how it shows up in different people. As you mentioned, for some people, they may lose a little bit of feeling in their face. For other people, they may lose a little bit of their, ability to communicate. And so having and raising funds for neurological diseases, and that includes a lot of different spaces. You could talk about Parkinson's, you could talk about Alzheimer's, but MS is one that is a real important one. What I'd love you to do now is, I know with this year's Crush MS, in addition to having the good time, I think you have 30 wineries that are going to be participating this year. Is that right?
Yeah, almost 30, and
Amazing.
We're still adding, and we're trying not to have too many, but it's we definitely have space here. In the past, we've had probably almost between 400 and 500 people show up. We have almost 100 volunteers. Lots of people come and buy the ticket to come to the event. So it's a lot of people, so we can have a lot of wineries, and that's kind of fun because you can taste different wines, you can sample different styles, or you could come and not drink at all. We have
probably good food as well. Yeah,
great food. Yeah, we have a big old barbecue truck that comes and grills up. We grill up a bunch of stuff, and so food. We have we have all kinds of stuff. We actually have some beer from Lagunitas Brewing Company, and we have people that donate a lot of food. Like we have, like I said, the volunteers that come. They do a great job putting together all
I was going to say, volunteers are always so important, and I'm a huge fan of wine and cheese, so I'm sure you're going to have some good cheeses there too.
Sure, yeah. And depending on the year, we can have sometimes we have a lot of cheese, sometimes it's varied different foods, but it's always really good. So no matter what it is, it's a great time.
For this year's event, you also have something you're going to be presenting called the State of MS Symposium. Talk to us about that. You've teamed up with some of the members over at Stanford. Their neurological division, I believe. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, my neurologist is at Stanford. He's Dr. Dunn at Stanford University. Amazing guy, kind of the head of their clinical neuroimmunology team. And over the years, we've donated major funds to their research there, and they've been able to hire new medical students, new fellows that are focusing on MS research. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to come this year, and actually we're going to get to meet, I think, at least one of the new doctors that they have because of our funds that we've provided to them. So what we're going to do is what we call the symposium. For an hour before the wine tasting party, we're going to have it be presented, a section of time presented by the team at Stanford on the current state of research for MS and the medications that are out there. It's constantly evolving, and so I thought, to have a section devoted to information for people that are really, really interested in, figuring this thing out. Maybe their loved one has MS, they want to figure out how to cure this thing. There's a section of time that's basically information for people that are really interested in what the current state of research is, and then we'll have the party after that.
Well, sorry, Hyde, so go ahead.
Oh, from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock is the symposium. All the information, getting kind of set with, and also getting to learn who is there. So then from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, when we have the fun party, people can go and ask these folks, their questions about MS, or, if they have specific things they want to know about, they will be introduced to them at the beginning of the day. We'll also have some other folks introducing themselves from places like the MS Achievement Center, through Dignity Health in Sacramento. And we will also be talking about other programs like Can Do MS in Colorado. And so we're basically going to be presenting some solid information about what's happening in the world of MS research. And then we're going to celebrate the fact that we're all here doing this together for a few hours, and it's going to be really fun.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a great event. I know that, it's really important to share education, share information, and in media we actually have something that we call the 3 E's, and those are acronyms for engage, enlighten, and entertain. So you're engaging the people that are there, you're enlightening them with the information, educating them, and then of course you're entertaining them. And I think life is a balance of all those three. So the fact that you're having this event offering, research and speakers that are on the forefront, cutting edge of where we're at with combating this disease, and then also providing people, with a lovely way to help share and raise funds is excellent. So you said this is the 5th year. It is, and you mentioned also the entertainment E there, and I want to make sure to mention that we have great music at the event. This great band has been there for 5 years, all 5 years. They're called Full Chisel, and they're awesome. And so, as we're entertaining and doing all of these things, they're a major part of it as well. So, you can definitely come and check them out. Great. What I'd love to do for a minute, Kevin, is part of what we do on LA40 is we talk about how life can sometimes throw you curveballs, and whether that's in business, whether that's in life, with your health, with your finances. We all know that life is never a straight line. If you don't mind sharing with us, because like you mentioned, you were 27 years old, you get this diagnosis out of the blue. I'm sure it knocked your socks off. Right. Can you share with us some of the tools, the mental tools that you have used to overcome that? I suppose at the beginning it would be a shock, but just, you're such a positive person. You're such a person that has, I've known you now for a few years, and all I ever see is somebody that is, giving his all to life, and I love that. But I'm sure that there are people who at times have dipped, yourself included. So any tips for anyone that might be going through a hard time with respect to how they can help themselves? Sure. Well, I know that to me, there's a mental component that goes into dealing with this really tough disease. And when it comes to staying calm and not freaking out about stuff, especially at the beginning, at the beginning, it was a huge unknown. And over time, I learned more and more about it. And throughout learning all those things, you also come to grips with, oh, this is happening in my body, or I'm having this pain, or I'm having this symptom. And so you build kind of a relationship with your MS or with your body, and having a tip that I've really, or a tool that I've used is meditation. Getting calm with your own mind, and your own, monkey brain starts to go about what if, and a lot of times that's worse
or that can be worse than the actual symptoms. Now, symptoms can be horrible. I'm not saying that meditating is going to fix that, but dealing with any disease, especially, MS is what I'm dealing with, being able to calm your mind and to remember that, it's just the body, and there's a lot of great technology and medications out there. There's a lot of people working on this, and that's another thing, is remembering that, when someone is especially first diagnosed, I think it's important to remember that you're not alone. There's a lot of people that are working on this to try to cure it. But then there's also lots of great programs out there to assist people that, with whatever their needs are throughout that journey of MS. So, there's tools to deal with it. I think the last thing I'd say is figuring out a way, and I was lucky enough to come up with a way to give back, to try to give back and help the situation, and to really focus my time. It's almost like a full-time job, working on Crush MS and trying to give back, trying to help, and trying to make a difference in the lives of people living with MS. I think it's a really important thing to remember that ultimately you're not alone.
And it's because we're not alone. When we band together as a collective society, that's when things happen, and we can help each other all get to a better space. You talked about fear, and it's interesting because fear and stress. I don't have the stat with me right this second, but I believe it's something as high as 70% of the things we stress about and project fear onto never happen in the first place. So like you said, right, how much of it were you projecting because of the unknown, because of the uncertainty, that really if you can temper that and move into a space of love and understanding and compassion and almost surrender versus the resistance and the fear, our present reality is happening right now, and I'm a huge believer in it's up to us to choose what part of the spectrum we want to be perceiving, right? Whether it's the fearful side or the hopeful side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned worrying about stuff that doesn't actually come true. There's a phrase that I've heard that it's worrying is like praying for something that you don't want to have happen. So not focusing on the worry or the scary stuff or the what ifs, and just trying to remember that staying present with what's positive is pretty crucial. So that's definitely something to consider when you're dealing with any kind of disease, is that we're not our body.
Yes.
Our body doesn't control us. We are something different. But we could get into philosophical stuff. But I could talk about that
all day long. What I want to talk about is tell me about your winery, because I am a huge fan of wine. And sure. I am, it's on my list to make it this year. The only reason I won't be making it, and anyone who's in and near California, I would urge you to come out to this event because it's going to be excellent. There's a chance that I personally may have to be in Europe in July, but if I'm not, I would love to come up. And what I'd love to know is, if you had to pick one of your wines, which one would you say is your signature? Is it a Cab? Is it a Sauvignon Blanc? What are you guys known for?
Yeah, well, we make Bordeaux varietals, so we make Cab Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot. We make a great blend, Bordeaux blends. We do a Viognier, which is a white grape. It's the only white that we make, but we name all of our wines after family members because we're purely a family business. It's Bay's Merlot and Aaron's Syrah, his wife, and Kevin's Cabernet. So I have to say that my favorite is Kevin's Cabernet, but it's
no
got my
bias
name
there
on
at
it.
all, right?
But I got to say, all of our wines are pretty fantastic, and we are very proud of the wines that my dad makes, and my brother's here really doing a great job in our tasting room all the time, and my sister's she does the finance stuff, and my mom is a graphic designer, so she makes our labels, and
you're
as well
heading
as all
up the
these
marketing,
other hats.
Right?
Lots of stuff, but it's hard to pick one wine. They're all fantastic, but we're very, very proud of the work that really my parents have done to make this, and we're lucky to have it as a family business to be able to join up with and help continue that
and cultivate. And like we had said with Crush MS, what a lovely way to couple not only a beautiful setting with a profitable business, but a great cause. Do you have for Crush MS a financial target that you're hoping to hit this year with respect to funds raised?
Every year we kind of make an arbitrary goal, and this year our goal is $100,000. Last year we got to 80. The year before we were at 75, and I think even our first year, I think we got up to like $50,000 that first year. And I know it's a lot of money, but it's going to take a lot of money and resources to figure out this MS thing, because it's such a mystery, and there's so many things that go into figuring it out that, the resources that we raise, we know it's a lot, but in our auction, we have a huge auction and raffle, and so people can bid on auction items. We the money that we raise goes directly to trying to figure this thing out. So the goal is 100,000. So if someone wants to come and write a $100,000 check, then we just be done.
That's right.
Or maybe we'll go for 200. But the goal, it's really the number is more arbitrary in terms of, well, we're going to pick that because that seems to be what we can get to, and we're going to shoot for as much as we can get, because the people that are dealing with MS have been waiting for a cure for a long, long time, and we just figure if there's anything we can do to add to that that goal, or to get to that goal, we're going to do it and have a fun time in the process.
That's excellent. How can people find you? Let us know your website. Let us know where people can get tickets.
It's very easy. crushms.org. So, the name Crush MS literally comes from, we're an homage to crushing the grapes. So if you can remember we're crushing MS like we crush the grapes, then just go to crushms.org, and the tickets are there. You can see pictures from past events, videos. Our sponsors are there. We couldn't do without our sponsors. That's another thing. I really want to make sure to get that out there. We have Genentech and Biogen. The Winiarski Family Foundation is a huge supporter, as well as the Culinary Institute of America, the cooking school that's here in town. They've recently come on as a major sponsor. Demptos Cooperage is a barrel making company that's supported us every single year since the beginning. So we can't thank them enough, because the sponsors are really what give us the seed money and energy to go forward with the event. So that's another thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. But we're partnering up with a lot of businesses that really they see the value in what we're doing, and there's a company called Grosskopf Warehouse Logistics and Warehouse over in Sonoma that has helped us. They send tons of people to help every single year, so they're a huge supporter as well as a sponsor. So Grosskopf is amazing. Glowpack is we've got all these brands and people that help us, that it's hard to talk about them all, but it's
well, you don't want to leave anyone out, right? That's
it's so much appreciated.
Yes.
And we mention them at the events and put them in our promo materials, that kind of thing. But it's a group effort, and our sponsors have all stepped up because they've all realized how important this is, and so we can't do it without them, and can't do it without you.
And I was going to say, like we said it, a little bit earlier, it's a collective effort. So, on your behalf, big shout out to all of the volunteers that are showing up, all of the sponsors, and of course all of the attendees, and of course all of the people that are working tirelessly on the back end with respect to the organization and putting this in place. I know that. I can't imagine getting to a place where. I can absolutely imagine. I can absolutely imagine getting to a place where we can start eradicating some of these diseases and issues. And so big thank you to you for becoming a leader in this space and really helping to create awareness, educate, and also raise some funds. Kevin, we wish you all the very best of luck with your event. Again, for those of you watching, Crush MS is the event. It's happening on Saturday, July the 28th, up in Napa Valley at the Reid Family Vineyards. We got Mr. Kevin Reid of Reid Family Vineyards here with us today, and I plan to be there. So if you'd like to come hang out with Kevin and I in July, hopefully. If not, Kevin, what I'll do is, from whatever cute little town in Italy I happen to be on July 28th, I'll drink a glass of wine on with you, and we can swap some pictures.
That sounds great. However you want to join in would be great. But hopefully you can make it.
Yes.
And hopefully everybody out there can make it. And if people have MS, like if somebody has MS, you get a major discount, but you have to email me for it. The instructions are on the website, so
Perfect.
really it's just getting my email address off of the website. When you go to buy a ticket, you can see it, and I'll send you the code for the discount. If you have MS, we want you there.
Yeah.
We're celebrating people that have MS, this really rough thing, but we're gonna do something really fun all together. So that's another thing I want to make sure I say.
Excellent. And also, I was going to say, probably on that same website through your same email address, if people want to donate or become sponsors, they can still reach out to you and have that conversation.
All the contact info is there. There's a contact us page. It goes directly to me. So if you want to be a part of it, shoot me a message through the website crushms.org, and we can go from there. But hopefully your listeners want to come up to Napa and have a good time, and I'd love to meet your listeners because they're probably pretty awesome people.
Yeah, well, it's we got a band together, all of us here out in California. So,
That's
Mr.
right.
Reid, thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Katerina.
We wish you the best of luck, and hopefully to see you there in July. All right, take care,
All right.
Kevin. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that was Kevin Reid, crushms.org. I would urge you to have a look at that website. And if you can make it, what a fabulous way to visit California. Great excuse to come out to Napa Valley. And you can coordinate that with the event itself for really such a fabulous cause. I am Katerina Cozias here with you. I want to tell you actually about one more event before we close this out, and that's my own personal event. For those of you that are near and in the San Diego area, over the next few weeks, on June 23rd, that's June 23rd, next Saturday, I'm going to be hosting a Charisma, Persuasion, and Influence one-day seminar, Charisma, Persuasion, and Influence with persuasion expert and master subconscious mind programmer Jim Lutz. This is a gentleman that has been around the world teaching and training people on mastery of influence and persuasion language. We're teaming together. I'll be taking the confidence, charisma, and communication portion of the day. He'll be taking persuasion and influence. That event, the training, is happening on June 23rd in San Diego. You can direct message me here at the station or via all my social media at Katerina Cozias for more details. But again, June 23rd for Charisma, Persuasion, and Influence training. July 28th for crushms.org. And stay tuned here. LA40 will keep you posted on all of the other upcoming good causes that will be coming through this area in the summer. For now, I'm Katerina Cozias here at LA40, LA Talk Radio. We'll see you again next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.